when you think about a person's legacy, you try to think of that one word that sums up that person's life, that word that describes their purpose and life goals, that word that typifies their character and what they stand for. For my mom, if I could sum up her life in one word that always comes to mind is love. My mom came into this world surrounded by love. She was a preemie that only weighed 3 pounds when she was born. My grandma would always say that her head was the size of an orange. When my mom was young, she was raised by her grandmother and grandfather, and it was at this time that she formed a very special bond with them. When she was little, she called them Nana and Dad, and those were the names that stuck. And they were known in the family as Nana and Dad for the rest of their lives. However, my mom's bond with Nana and Dad was unique. They were like parents to her, but the special love between them went deeper than most parent-child relationships. When we lived in Sheldon, my mom would sometimes cry because she missed Nana so much. And she always looked forward to the weekends when we would go visit her. Nana was always the center of our family when we were growing up, and I always took for granted the relationship that her and my mom had. I didn't realize until I was older how special it actually really was. It was one of those things that you didn't really question. They were like peanut butter and jelly. They just went together. My mom also had a deep love for extended family and friends. There were so many fun times growing up when we spent holidays and summers with my aunts, uncles, and cousins doing crazy things that would just make her laugh and laugh. And she would always talk about how her and her siblings, and later me, Scott, and my cousins, would go down to visit Aunt Kate, Jack, and Roberta in Gillespie, Illinois. She had so many fond memories from spending so many summers there, and Jack and Roberta were like siblings to her. And when my mom embraced you as a friend, she was your friend for life. And no friend was more important to her than Carol Ann. Can you hit the button so they can see? On the screen, there's a... Okay. Carol was like her sister, and her family embraced my mom as one of their own. They were lifelong friends and always loved each other dearly. As was mentioned previously, Scott and I were adopted when we were infants, but my mom always went beyond just trying to raise us like normal children. She made a point to always tell us how special we were because we were adopted. And that probably went to my head a bit, because I remember when I was 6 years old, some boy was bullying me on the playground at school. And I said to him, well, I'm more special than you are because I'm adopted. My mom chose me. Your mom had to keep you. In fact, very early on, my mom realized that her daughter was a very independent thinker that had a stubborn streak. When I was a toddler, I had the craziest curly hair that was all over my head, and it would easily tangle, so much so that sometimes I would get my fingers stuck in my hair and my mom would have to free them. She would chase me around the house with a hairbrush, and when she would try to brush all the tangles out of my hair, I would scream and cry. And when she finally had enough, she decided to cut my hair very short so that it would be easier for her to manage. But that created another challenge for her because I hated having short hair. I thought that it made me look like a boy, so when she used to take me to get my hair cut short, I would always cry. And I remember one time I even made the hairdresser feel so bad about cutting my hair short that she told my mom she wouldn't take her money because I didn't like her haircut. So to solve this problem, my mom decided that we would both get the same haircut. At the time, a popular haircut was called a pixie, like the hair that you see on fairies. So when I was about 4, we both got pixie haircuts. And of course, I equated this with Peter Pan, and every night before I went to sleep, my mom would tuck me in, and I would tell her as she walked out of my room, "Good night, pixie dust." As I got older, I always made it a habit of buying her things with Tinkerbell on it. She had a whole house full of Tinkerbell things, and she loved every bit of it. In my teenage years, we had the typical mother-daughter feuds. Of course, I thought I knew everything, and sometimes when we butted heads, she would tell me, "I hope that someday you have a daughter that's just like you." Well, my mom cursed me and really got the last word in on that one, because I got Ava, who is just like me, but she's just like me on steroids. However, in my mom's eyes, her grandkids could do no wrong. She thought they were perfect, and she always gave them things that she wasn't supposed to. I think she gave every grandkid ice cream, strawberries, and chocolate before they were 1. And she would always secretly give Ava Coke when she was a baby. And I would tell her, Mom, you can't give her those things. And she would reply, oh, it's not gonna hurt them. You survive, just let them have a little taste. And when Ava was a baby, she was all upset because my mom was the last person that she had a name for. And she'd always have her over and say Graham, say Graham, say Graham. And one day Ava called her Bubble, and Bubble stuck. So she was Bubble for the rest of her life. My mom also had a very special love with my dad. When I was going through her things, I found a book of sonnets on a bookshelf, and inside the cover, my dad had written her a corny love poem, which is something that he would do from time to time throughout her life. And when I read that poem, I just thought how lucky she was to have a husband that would write her corny love poems after they had been married so long. And it was at that moment I really realized how unique and special their relationship was. And it wasn't like their marriage was easy. They had a lot of issues, especially when it came to finances. But they were always there for each other, and that loving devotion always extended to their family. I'd like to think that they're together right now with my dad telling some sort of stupid joke, and my mom saying, oh, Harold. Throughout her life, my mom frequently focused on her and my dad's financial struggles, but she never really realized that she was actually rich. Because what she had was way more valuable than money. She had love, and she gave love. And we should all live by that example. Just love fiercely your kids, your family, your friends, your coworkers, and anyone that you care about. Just love them. Because at the end of the day, people won't remember how much money you had or what your status was, but they will always remember the love. Because the greatest monument on this earth is not what we build, but the lives that we touch. And that's the greatest legacy that anyone could ever leave.
Amen.